to your home cooking show. I'm Deborah, your host, and today we are in Chef Suzanne's kitchen. Beautiful kitchen. And Suzanne, could you tell us what you're going to be making today?
Sure, Deborah. I will be making today a couple of things, but we're going to start with a vegetable rice bowl that has a variety of yummy veggies and goodies to add to this bowl, and we're going to be topping it with a cilantro basil drizzle.
Great. All right. Take it away.
Okay, so I'm going to bring you on over here, Deborah, and show you what vegetables I've made for this bowl. So we have a variety of things here so that during the week you have a lot of different choices to make a bowl for yourself, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And the first thing you'll see here is we have a variety of different zucchinis and squash with a red pepper and seasoned with lots of different herbs. This dish is a mixture of sweet potatoes and yams, and I like it for the color. Variety of color is really important for good health. And then I've got here some roasted, or we will be heating up some roasted mushrooms that are my protein source for this. Now you can add anything. You could do chicken pieces, you could do, or cut up chicken, you could also do steak. And you can also make an Asian bowl, an Indian bowl, any variety that you want. This particular dish is just going to be using a variety of summer vegetables. And then we have here from my garden, this is collard greens that I have wilted. We're going to be heating those up in a minute, and with some herbs and seasoning. And then finally, if people that don't eat fennel, this is a delicious fennel and red onion dish. So this is what we're going to be doing to heat these up before we enjoy the bowl. All right, so now we're going to put these in the oven to heat up. And I've got them on a low temperature of 325 because they have been pre-cooked, and we're just heating them up for the meal. And I'll come over here and grab the other two, three. I'm going to wait on the mushrooms because I don't want those to cook anymore. And this is something you can do when you are, after you've made this for the week. So today we're going to have it for lunch. Say you want it for dinner tomorrow, or you want it for another lunch. All you do is package these beauties into containers, and then you just put them in. You see I've got these wonderful stainless steel stainless steel bowls, and this is really what you want to be heating things up in. You don't want to be using plastic of any form, but you want to be using stainless steel primarily. And what's really good about these is that they clean up easily, and also glass is an option, as well as ceramic. Just be mindful of no non-stick products. That's what you do not want to be heating up in that. Okay, so we'll let that warm up, and then we'll move on to the next thing.
Okay, how long does it need to heat up?
When I'm heating them up, it's probably about 20 minutes, depending on your temperature. And I've got them at 325 on convection, and you just have to check them, make sure that they're sizzling, ready to go by the time we were ready to eat.
Okay, great.
Okay, so now I'm going to introduce you, if you don't know about forbidden rice. This is an incredible Asian rice that looks black or purple, and it's really high in phytonutrients. So again, I'm all about color. So all of those vegetables you saw in the oven are full of color. The variety gives you all of that nutritional value and vitamins. And so what I'll do, I'm going to show you an easy trick that an Asian lady showed me decades ago, how to heat up rice. So I've got a nice stainless steel pot here, and I'm just going to take the rice and I'm going to pour it in. And I'm just kind of doing it by touch. I mean, you can put in a cup or you can put in 2 cups. So that's about it. And what she taught me to do, I also like to, before I add water or whatever you want to add for flavoring, this is a chicken broth pre-made. So I'm going to add the chicken broth to add a little bit of flavor. And what she taught me to do is she pour in the liquid. Don't even have to measure it. And then you take your hand and you cup it. I'm going to use this one because of the ring. You cup your hand like this, and you put it on the top. If the water is filling up the portion of your hand, then it's ready to go. You can see there's not enough liquid. So I'm going to add a little bit more of the chicken stock here. probably need to do the whole thing. Try again. Okay, you can see how it's starting to puddle. And this rice takes a little bit more because of its darkness and its richness. And so there it is. And so that's how you measure the rice. And with clean hands, of course. Let me wash my hands off here. And then I'm going to add a little bit of salt. You don't have to. You can salt afterwards. So I'm just using Celtic sea salt. And then because of flavoring, I like a lot, I'm going to grab a spoon. And one of the things you can do with this if you're making an Asian bowl and you want soy flavors and you want that kind of umami taste, you can cook this rice in coconut milk, but I'm just going to use a tablespoon, just about, of coconut oil to give it that kind of coconutty flavor that causes makes it more rich tasting. Then we're going to come over here, turn on the stove, and then I'm going to just put the lid on. Turn it down a little bit, and when it cooks to boil, then I will put it on simmer, and I'll take the lid off just a little bit to let air in because this device makes a lot of noise. And this will cook about, depending on how much, less than half an hour, but could be more or less 20 to 25 minutes, depending on how much rice you have in it. So we'll just have to check it, and I'll show you as we go along. Okay, so while the vegetables are heating up and the rice is cooking, I thought it'd be a fun time to show you how I make a really easy vegetable chips, but instead of using kale, I'm using collard greens, which I've grown in my garden. So I've got them all here chopped into a fine cut, and I'm going to, for the sake of quickness here and just ease of using, I'm going to put a little bit of avocado oil as well as virgin, and all organic by the way, olive oil blend, and we're going to drizzle them over easily like this. And I also want to mention that we don't want to be using olive oil and avocado oil, at high temperatures very often, because it's mitigating the value of the olive oil, and it's also turning the olive oil from a healthy omega-3 to an omega-6, which is, we're eating too much of omega-6s and it's causing a lot of chronic issues. And this is why I'm doing a little bit of a blend, and we'll be careful. It does get cooked at high temperature, and as I said, everything in moderation on some of these things. But kale, I just want to mention, has been an issue in the health industry lately. A little bit of drizzle of salt. Because women were eating so much kale in smoothies and lunches, salads, all raw, and it was causing some disruption and dysregulation of the thyroid. So be mindful that you want to mix your greens. You do not want to only be doing kale, and you want it cooked. So the next step is I'm going to mix this up a little bit so we get the oil on it and distribute it. And you also want to make sure that your kale chips are very dry. So I made these yesterday. I spun them in my salad spinner and got them nice and dry, so by the time we want to cook and show today, they're pretty dried out. So you disperse them that way. Then I'm going to take a beautiful lemon, Meyer lemon from my tree, and I'm going to slice it and squeeze it on the top. Now what the lemon does is it is a natural preservative of color, and it'll keep these a little green. Now you'll see, just take the lemon, put your hand like this, and just squirt it across so the seed, if any seeds come out. And then the other thing you can do is you can leave it like this. It tastes perfectly fine. Or we can sprinkle some herbs. And one of my favorite herbs that everybody says, what are you putting on your vegetables because they taste so good, is this I buy in bulk, is herb de Provence. Happens to be one of my favorite. I labeled it, and I'm just reusing a jar. I'm very big on recycling. And we can take a little bit of the herb de Provence and we can sprinkle that on. But you can put any flavor you want. You can also put no salt seasoning, but I'm gonna do that because I like the flavor. And many times I have fresh herbs from the garden. And then we're gonna put this in the oven at about 350, and then you're gonna watch it, and you're gonna have to toss it pretty regularly and just make sure that the area is all gets dispersed equally, or gets baked equally for the crunchiness. Okay, here we go. All right, we're gonna check the vegetables, and we're going to see how they're doing. We've got a little bit of sizzling going on here, so these are gonna be ready in a second. We've got the potatoes. I shake them up a bit. They feel like they're getting warm, and then the greens, now they're getting a little crunchy on top, kind of like what the kale chips are going to do, which makes them really yummy. Excuse my fingers, they are clean. And then this is the Now we've got the onions and the fennel roasting, so we're almost done. But I'll leave them in for a few more minutes while we check on the rice. Okay, so I am going to add the mushrooms now because I don't want them overcooked. They're perfect the way they are, they just need to be heated. So I'm gonna throw those in, and then while those are heating up, I'm gonna put in the kale chips. Put those on top, and I've got those on a medium broil, and I literally have to stand here and watch them. You don't have to stand here and watch with me, but we'll come back and see how they look when they're finished.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna check the kale chips, and this is what's really important. Now the rest of the vegetables, I've got a little umbrella, I have to be careful. So you can see they're starting to brown a little bit, and you can stop right here and enjoy them this way, but if we want them crunchy, I'm gonna mix them up a bit so that we get more dispersed of the veggies on the bottom that aren't getting brown. But you gotta watch it, you can't walk away. So we're gonna stick them back in here. And here we go. Give it a check.
Ooh, I can smell the
Do you have it
coconut.
Okay, so yes, I'm watching it closely, but you can smell the aroma of the coconut, just a little bit of the oil added. And we're heating this up here, stays nice and warm in this warming oven, the warming tray area. And the veggies, there goes the kale starting to snap and crackle. I'll put this one up here too, so be ready for us to assemble in a minute. We'll walk back over here and check the kale. You can hear it snapping and cracking. And
Oh yeah, you can see it browning.
browning, get a little bit more. Now theoretically, guys, you don't want to be doing this all the time because it is kind of, when you burn things, you are creating, unfortunately, a carcinogenic that we don't want to be eating every day, but it's good once in a while, so be careful. I talk about that a lot, Deborah, in my Poisons in the Pantry ebooks, which I'll share a little bit more about later, about why you need to be careful for overheating food, roasting, and baking. And this is my fennel and red onion that has a really nice, fennel's got a wonderful licorice flavor, and people don't quite know what to do with it. And I just take off the green tops, and I sometimes put them in, you can put them in smoothies, but you know, not everybody wants to do that. But I just take off the tops and I make my own stock. I'm trying to see if I can't balance that up there. I make my own vegetable beef stock, chicken stock, and I put everything in it. So I will take the cuttings off of the base of cauliflower, the base of broccoli. I take I don't really put the carrot leavenings, you know, when you're grating carrots. I don't really put that in there because it makes a mess in the stock, but I definitely try to keep everything. I put it in a bag or a bowl in the freezer. And then when I'm gonna make my stock, I just take it all out, dump it in a big cooking pot, and then add water, and it just makes the best, richest stocks. And the reason, Deborah, I do that is because a lot of the stocks you get are in boxes, lined in plastic, and they're in plastic containers. And whether you believe it or not, we're getting a lot of plastics in our bodies. Plastic is being found in the umbilical cords of babies. So it's really important that when you have fatty products like the fat of chicken broth, the fat of beef broth, or any of that, it really should be in glass jars. You don't really want it in plastic. So keep that in mind. Keep the boxes to a minimum and make your own stock. And we could even do a show on stock sometime, Deborah. Okay, hold on. Let me stir it up and see if it's going to be edible because I've really got it too black now. I mean, this is how they look. Okay, you want to go ahead? Are you already recording? Oh, yeah. Left in a little bit too long, but once they cool down to temperature, they'll be fine. And you want a little bit of the green, and you don't want it all charred. Pick up some of that. Just be careful. Okay, so now we're going to plate our dishes. And Deborah, I'll just show here, we're going to move in. So we'll start with one bowl, and I'm going to move this down at the other end because we'll do that last. So what we do is the rice is finished. You want to look at how it's, you know, nice and nutty and liquidy. You don't want it dry. And this is an amazing rice for phytonutrients again because of this beautiful color. And I do have to tell you, it is actually more protein than brown rice, white rice, and even What's the other one? Wild rice. Okay, so we're going to put it on the center
Remind
here.
me, what's the name of that rice?
This is called forbidden rice. It's an ancient rice from Asia that has been around for a while, but I learned about it from a very well-known author, cookbook author, Rebecca Katz. I have quite a few of her books. And she served this over a bed. She served the rice over a beautiful fresh salmon dish that was incredible. So let me get a different spoon not to mess up. Okay, so Deborah, I'm going to make this for you, and I assume you want a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the zucchini, not in any particular order, but you don't overload it because then you get overwhelmed with too much food. Then we're going to put a little bit of the onions and the fennel. Deborah loves fennel. I'm going to give her a little extra. And I'm going to move down here to the sweet potato blend. And you want to disperse it around so it looks pretty.
Beautiful.
We will top it with, now we have some of the collard greens that are a little crunchy. I'm not going to put too much on there. And then I'm going to finish it off with our protein source, which is the mushrooms, the roasted. These are button mushrooms. I have read that white mushrooms have more vitamins than the brown. I always thought they didn't. And then over here, we'll top it off with our beautiful crunchy collard greens. And then I didn't mention about the basil cilantro drizzle, but all this is fresh cilantro, fresh basil, a little bit of salt, and some lemon juice, and you just put it in your Vitamix, and you add a lot of olive oil to get the texture you want. And I do like using avocado oil as well because it's got a lot of benefits as well, good omega-3s. And let's see if this will come out of here very easily. I don't want a squeezer, which is plastic, so I've got this glass container, and we're going to douse this around and give it some good moisture, and you can decorate with your your plate if you want. And then we can take this to the table and we can add more as we want. So I'll bring it over here if you want to take a picture of it or just look at it a little better. But that's what we're doing, and that's how it looks. So back to action here. I'm going to make myself a plate. So same thing, layering. And what I wanted to mention about, now this is a lot of vegetables, and the reason why I did this is to show you the choices that you can make. But during the week, when my husband and I want a quick lunch, all we have to do is heat up the rice and pick a vegetable or two. We don't have to do all of them. And many times the protein source gets eaten first, whether it's pieces of chicken or beef. But you can make it so quickly, and you don't have to. That's it. You're just heating up in the oven. And then you're assembling, and then voila, you have this great little healthy, nutritious meal, all natural ingredients, no additives, no fillers, no chemicals, and everything's made at home, and it's so simple. And as a health coach, which I don't think we've mentioned that yet, but I am a certified health coach, and I teach people how to cook and how to eat healthy and get the toxins out. And what this is doing, there's nothing in this that's toxic at all, especially if a lot of these vegetables are from the farmer's market, which I do encourage people to shop at the farmer's markets. And basically that is why I have the variety of the veggies. But again, you can pick and choose your favorite. All you're doing is assembling it the way you want.
All right. Here we are. This looks fabulous, Suzanne.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thrilled. And this is tell us what this is.
This is our vegetable rice bowl, and we are topping it with a cilantro basil vinaigrette, which all of you will have the recipes for.
It looks great. And
let's see how it tastes. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit. Well, we're finished with our lunch, and it was fabulous. Of course, our chef, Suzanne, has done a fabulous job of making this rice bowl with the cilantro and basil vegetable dish. It was wonderful. And I want to thank Suzanne on all of her expertise and talking about different things that you can do to up your health and eat healthier. So, thank you, Suzanne. And
you're welcome.
all right, bye-bye.
Okay, I'd like to explain a little bit that I've alluded to about using different oils and just using things that are healthy for your body and that are organic and safe and natural and that do no harm. That's what I'm all about as a health coach. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention was oils. Now, I alluded earlier on about not using olive oil and avocado oil at really high heat on a regular basis. There is a myth that, a little too high heat ruins the integrity of the oil. So that's okay once in a while. I did it on the greens and I do use it often, but I wanted to mention a couple of options that are safe for high heat and for cooking at high temperatures. Ghee butter is an Indian butter that has its lactose taken out of it, so it's pretty good for people that have lactose intolerant. And you can use this at high heat, and it's excellent for like frying an egg to melting and drizzling on all your vegetables. So it gives a nutty, kind of a beautiful texture and flavor. My husband doesn't like it, so you want to taste it and see. And then I have a son who doesn't like coconut oil, but this is another great oil to be using at very high heat and for cooking. And you want to do organic, and obviously you can melt this. This temperature's got it a little melted, but you melt it and you can take a scoop of it, put it in the skillet, and treat it like a oil. And if you like the coconut flavor, and it sweetens things. And stay tuned because this is what's going to be in a dessert that I'm going to make with Deborah at some point. And then beef tallow. This is a new on the market product. They're also using pork fat, which is lard, and we know that animal fat is healthy for us. It's been dispelled that the myth of fat is causing cardiovascular issues. That is not the truth. What is causing cardiovascular health issues, strokes, heart attacks, is industrial seed oils. So I have written a free guide that's called The #1 Poison that you need to remove from your pantry. It's hiding in your pantry. And this is the oils that I want to mention: canola, safflower, sunflower, corn oil, even you have to be careful with some of the other almond oils and even nut oils at high temperatures. They're not safe. But this is really important, and why I wrote this. It's a 4-page free guide that you can download. Deborah's going to be putting the links in the bio. But I go into the details as to why this oil is so unsafe, and all of your restaurants are using it, and it's in all of your processed foods. So this is what you need to do. I'm adamant about telling people to read the ingredients, and I go through why this oil is so toxic and why it's been created by our industries, and why our government and our FDA is ignoring the plea to get these oils out of our foods. But the best thing is I'm giving you a list that gives you all of the alternatives, and it tells you what the heat point is and why they're so much safer. So that's the ebook, the e-guide. And then I also have in the e-guide, you can get a coupon for 50% off of my Deeper Dive Poisons in Your Pantry ebook. Now this goes into the top first 6 ingredients that you need to consider and get out of your kitchen, and be careful eating with products that you buy. And again, I dive deep. I give you resources of what to replace things with, but I also tell you why, again, this is happening, and then what you can do what will happen to your symptoms once you take it out and replace it with the better quality foods. And as I was showing Deborah earlier, I have in here a couple of guides on how to clean out your pantry simply and don't get an overwhelm. And then I have a guide on what to do when dining out. It's a big one. You can actually ask restaurants to cook your food in olive oil. They don't want to highlight that because it's more expensive, but I've had them use olive oil for me, and your vegetables can be just, slightly sauteed. And then the other one is what to do when you're traveling, which a lot of us do, and I give you lots of tips of what you do when you're traveling and how to carry food. So when you're at the airports and there's nothing to eat, you've got your stash. So I highly recommend that you look into these a little bit more. You can Google industrial seed oils, and you can and just how harmful ingredients are. So that's what that is. I wanted you to know that's what I'm about, and I do take I do free consults for half an hour if anybody downloads my free guide or gets the ebook. I'm happy to talk about how we can get poisons out of your pantry and help you a little bit with your own health. Thanks a lot, Deborah.
Thank you.